All right, thanks, everybody. This is, I'm calling to order the City Council work session for Thursday, August 14th, 2025. I guess I'm gonna look at the agenda. We've got the one item on the agenda, so we'll simply remove the agenda.
Second.
Right. Is there any objection to the agenda? Right. So our agenda is adopted. The council discussion topic is literally the Republic Services update. We're waiting for Wendy's last name. Whiteford, yeah, right. Thank you. Wendy Whiteford from Republic Services, but I understand that she's not present.
We're trying to track her down to see if the public works director, I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
Stephanie.
No, Rebecca. I forget her last name.
There's a lot of that going on right now, yeah. But yeah, that's a very good point. So we have no other agenda items, so we'll sort of stare at you folks at home for a while. And if within the next 10 minutes, Ms. Weichert shows up, we'll start with that topic. So gonna ask everyone's patience for just a little while.
Would you like to just declare a 10-minute recess so
Is that
people can
appropriate?
get up and leave and they know when we're gonna come back?
The chair declares a recess then for 10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay?
Thank you. Wonderful. Are you doing?
Oh,
I'm out.
Okay, so are we,
oh, she's there.
are we on break or?
She's there.
Yeah. or-
I am so sorry, you guys. I was just getting ready to drive up there and then I found out at 6, not 7 for the session, not the regular meeting. So huge apologies here. Wendy Weicker, Republic Services, for those of you who don't know me.
Thank you, thank you, Ms. Weicker, and I completely understand. I want to ask our city clerk, are we actually back on? Yeah. Great, okay,
We're being
so,
recorded, yeah.
okay, so we're being recorded and we're calling the meeting back to order. This is Wendy Weicker from Republic Services, and we're looking forward to what you have to tell us.
Hi. Okay. Well, first of all, sincere apologies all around for the work stoppage that we all had to deal with in July. And then sincere thanks to your team who worked with us day in and day out as we learned every day what was unfolding and transpiring. And we are so glad to be back in action and glad that the drop-off event worked well and glad to provide those credits that we had talked about and the reimbursement for the event. Although I think we staffed that for you guys. So anyway, just it's been a crazy month and just huge apologies all around for the inconvenience to your residents. And we were so sorry that we didn't know it was coming. So we were as caught off guard as anybody else. So I'm happy to answer any questions and take additional input and continue the conversation.
Well, thank you very much. So I'll open it to council. Do any of you have questions about the recent events?
Thank you, Wendy, for coming and being willing to answer questions. One of the concerns folks have that I've heard, and I personally have as well, is when it does have a missed pickup, that you'll do like a double pickup later, but especially for things like our recycle, which is every other week, that is a really long time. And oftentimes we have full recycle containers because we recycle in Lake Forest Park.
Yes, you do.
So like, is there any way that we can have, like, instead of having to wait 2 weeks, can it just be, can we do something where we can pick it up the next pickup? So the next pickup, even though maybe it might be supposed to be garbage and yard, that can we fit in that? Because the containers overflow and then we don't know where to put anything.
The accumulation, yes. And part of the challenge is that our trucks, we don't have trucks sitting around. So trucks that pick up garbage all week, every week, are not the same trucks that pick up recycling every other week or yard waste every other week. So that's why the protocol, not just for Lake Forest Park, but within the region and the industry in general, is to pick up double the volume for the next week or two. And our drivers on the recycling side, my understanding is they've been picking up everything that they see on the curb when they're back. So we know it's a huge inconvenience, but we are not able to operationally collect the next day or even the next week if that week is dedicated to the other material. We just don't have enough infrastructure trucks in place to do that given the every other week, which is why we were picking up doubles, and I think we're still picking up any extras, given the timing of where we were with that every other week. And that's why the service credits are there too, to sort of make up for that inconvenience. And we know it's hard to hold the material. We know it's especially difficult for garbage. So that next week when we were back, we were picking up everything on the garbage side, and recycling thankfully is generally cleaner since it's empty, clean, and dry. And those main 5 materials that we all recycle regularly. And it's just operationally unfeasible because we can't take trucks off their regular routes, especially when we're picking up doubles. Does that make sense for the operational limitations we have for being able to come back on a non-regularly scheduled day?
Sort of. We get yard waste every week. So 1 week we get yard, recycle, and garbage, and then the other week it's just yard and garbage. So somehow it works every other week. So that's the only reason I brought it up.
Yeah. And those trucks serve not only Lake Forest Park, but also Kenmore, right? So the same trucks that are en route, the yard waste week, those trucks are there. They might be on yard waste the following week in Kenmore, right? And I don't have all the operational ins and outs of which trucks are going where on each given day, but the routes that we plan to be most efficient and have the least impact on your city streets and the rates that you and your residents pay are based on that cadence and that contractual requirement for every other week.
On a similar vein, some feedback about communications.
Please.
Feedback I've gotten from my neighbors is they found Republic's messaging to be confusing. That when Republic would say, we'll pick up double at no charge at your next pickup, they didn't understand how that applied to recycling. Because on the one hand, recycling is free. It's included with our garbage service and there's no limit on it. So double doesn't really make sense. But also it created ambiguity because does next pickup mean the next time any Republic truck is in the neighborhood 1 week later? Or does it mean the next time the recycling truck is in the neighborhood 2 weeks later? And so a lot of my neighbors would put out all of their recyclables in cardboard boxes on the curbs the next week, even though recycling was not going to come. So is there a way that Republic can make that more clear to the community that garbage and yard waste will be in 1 week, recycling will be in 2 weeks?
Absolutely. I wasn't thinking about how confusing that might have been to folks who aren't living the day in, day out, especially when service is disrupted. So yes, I can absolutely take that as an action item to be clear about what we mean by doubles, and especially when it's the every other week situation. I'm so sorry for that confusion. That was certainly not our intent. And I think what I was trying to say with the doubles and what I was working with my other communications team was that we were going to pick up everything as soon as we could on the regularly scheduled day with the doubles. And I got to say my priority was garbage. So I was just thinking doubles of garbage for that weekly service. So I can absolutely take that as an action item and make that communication clearer. I am so sorry I didn't even think about how that would be confusing to folks who were not clear on what we meant by that on the websites and the robocalls and the city communications. So certainly appreciate that feedback. So yes, we can absolutely make that change for inclement weather that might be coming up here this winter. So that is particularly important for this time as we're going into winter. Appreciate that.
Is there a way to talk about, or how would we approach, should this occur again, having the on-site trash pickup here at the city to find alternative times to support people that are away, for work? So it was during the weekdays. So is there a way to try and figure out how to incorporate a weekend or more flexible times to reach more residents?
Yes, and our limitations during the work week were because of the transfer stations where we take the material. They tend to close in the late afternoon, so we can't extend hours into the evening because we would have nowhere to take the material given that the receiving facilities are closed. And by public health laws, we are not allowed to hold material overnight in the trucks. So that speaks to the limitations during the weekdays. And on the Saturday events, we can certainly work with staff to figure out how to do that. We did do a couple of those in a couple other locations, and that is certainly something we can talk about. So Saturdays are sometimes more challenging given needing the space in that parking lot that's generally more crowded on the weekend. So we start interfering with the shopping that's happening over there. But we certainly could figure out how to get some staff and some trucks there. And those receiving facilities are generally open on Saturdays. So Saturdays are much easier than Sundays. So it would be a Saturday, and it would probably be that similar time frame of 10 to 2 or 9 to 1, and certainly not into the 4 or 5 o'clock range because, again, those receiving facilities being closed. But I can certainly follow up with Rebecca and Philip as needed. And I don't need to say, I hope not, that we really don't anticipate nor expect any further strikes like this to occur again. So we and our leadership team are doing everything we can to minimize having those service disruptions that are out of state. And our labor unions here are quite solid and our working relationships are good. And our local union folks were not happy about having to honor the out of state folks who showed up at our gates. So we have good working relationships here locally, and our teams we certainly don't expect any disruptions like that in the near future from our team. So on a national level, hopefully we don't ever have to deal with this again. And should we need to, we are making plans to have those relief drivers be here sooner and anticipate, now that we know this is a possibility, we anticipate having better resources in place to manage it sooner and faster and better. And while we honor the union's ability and interest in negotiating to the best of their ability, this sympathy strike was unexpected and very challenging for us day in and day out, and especially when our crews wanted to come to work and wanted to serve our customers and just couldn't, to honor their brotherhood. So apologies all around on that, and hopefully not needing this again. But should we can definitely look at Saturdays. And in terms of inclement weather, which we know is happening, we can also look at that down the road too, because when inclement weather events last longer, especially given uncertainty around weather conditions, we are figuring out what resources we'll need to make sure we have those events during those difficult weather times as well.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask you about the charges that we've had some calls from residents that are reporting that they are getting I guess you'd call them fines or overcharges for their lids being open. And it's just started happening a great deal. And especially when there's a missed pickup, whether it's been for weather or strike or whatever, they have their bins are a little bit more full, but they're getting charged extra because the bin is open by, maybe 6 inches or something like that. And so I was wondering if, could people maybe get a warning first instead of getting overcharged or a charge for that?
Yeah, and that program was supposed to be suspended during the recovery time for this disruption. So I will take that as an action item to follow up and see where those extras occurred, and talk to my leadership about how to reverse those charges for the time period in the recovery. Absolutely. I'm so sorry that happened. It was my understanding that program was turned off during the recovery because, of course, lids are bigger when you're picking up doubles. So thank you for bringing that to my attention, and absolutely we'll follow up on that.
And maybe identify to the public when they will be charged, because to some people it just started happening all of a sudden and they didn't have any, it could have been brought up, but probably not enough. So maybe communication again, a little bit more clear on when those charges could or would occur.
Yeah, communication is always a challenge, isn't it? Yes, I will follow up with my team and with Rebecca and Philip as well to help communicate that either through city channels or through our website. And we tend to do robocalls, but we don't always have everyone's phone numbers too. So there's another lesson learned in this. The more phone numbers we have, the more notice we can provide people directly to their phones, either with text or voicemail, because we're losing a lot of landlines. And there's nothing more frustrating than folks want to know what's going on, but us not being able to reach them through the 4 or 5 different channels we have during an emergency, whether it's inclement weather or this unfortunate work stoppage. So,
Awesome.
yeah, I hear you on that communication everywhere, always, all the time, endlessly, and repeat 7 times.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry.
I'm sure everybody got a chance to chat this too. All right.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges I have is Republic Services picked up my extra bin that was mine. And so I don't have like an extra bin to be able to use for these sorts of things. So like that was very upsetting. And now I can't help out by actually having a real container for all these double loads.
And now you don't need it because we're back to normal operations, right? So extra bins. So that's one of those individual customer issues. So if you want to call me directly, and most customers call our call center, and that gets directly to our operations team that sends extra bins out or does replacement bins when bins are broken, or the call center also lets folks put extra recycling in extra kind of yard waste bags, those brown bags, and extra yard waste in those brown bags, or bundled together with twine if they happen to be twigs from the yard waste work. So yeah, I'll take that extra bin item to be able to help. But if you'll let me know if we took your bin and you need another one, happy to replace it.
So to clarify, that means that anyone can call your customer service and request an extra bin for their garbage when they have the extra garbage then?
Well, we don't usually have extra garbage needed, right? So they're paying for their 96 or 64 gallon, but if that bin goes away or is broken, we can replace it.
I meant for the double pickup thing.
Oh, for the double pickup thing. So that's the hefty garbage bags, the big hefty bags. That's what I mean by doubles. We can pick it up by that if you don't have an extra bin handy, because we know not everybody has double garbage bins or their own personal bins. So those hefty garbage bags are generally how folks were notified and communicated with to have that extra garbage available for pickup. And then our guys jump out of the truck and load it in.
And are those okay for using for recycle as well?
Not so much, because recyclables aren't supposed to be bagged because the plastic wraps around the recycling center equipment. So we in the county and the state have been working on trying to do a "Don't bag your recyclables in a plastic bag" campaign for years. That failed a little bit during COVID, but yeah, recyclables should be in those brown yard waste bags if they're extras, or stacked up as cardboard, kind of stacked up with the recycle bin. That doesn't help if you have a bunch of plastic containers or aluminum cans. But yeah, we try not to have folks put recyclables in plastic bags, because invariably the plastic bags end up wrapping around recycling center equipment.
Appreciate the comments. So to summarize then, it means that anyone, any of our residents can call customer service at Republic Services and request either yard waste bags for the recyclables or yard waste, or heavy garbage bags for their garbage on these times when we have a double pickup.
So I didn't mean that we would provide them. I meant if customers had them, that's how we'd pick them up. So we don't have those laying around, but as an action item, could certainly work with your staff to see if we could make some available at City Hall for folks that wanted to pick those up. It would be nearly impossible for us to deliver plastic bags or yard waste bags to every resident who requested them, especially during an emergency. But I could work with your staff to see if we could have some available in public locations that might be easily accessible to your residents going forward.
That would be wonderful. We don't need to saddle everybody with an additional cost. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, whatever we can do to make it easier down the road. There are a lot of lessons learned here. And again, just so appreciate the grace in working with your team and trying to figure out how to be as helpful and efficient as possible when our resources were so limited.
So one observation and then one question. The observation is there's a lot of urban wildlife. And so putting garbage, like hefty garbage bags next to a closed container is a recipe for asking crows or raccoons or some other critters to rip them open and strew the garbage on the curb. So that's unpleasant. But my question is, I imagine a lot of the public don't realize they're going to be getting a credit, and I appreciate that you're sending out the credit so promptly. But is it possible to notify? Because I imagine most people aren't scouring over their monthly bill to see it. Maybe proactively send out a text message or something saying, hey, in your next bill, you will be receiving a credit due to the work stoppage. I think it'll help inform the public, and it'll probably generate some goodwill for you.
It will, and that is a great idea. And part of the challenge is the customer bills are done quarterly. So there are a number of residents who won't see that credit until probably September or October. And some people are seeing it now. So there's a little bit of acrobatics there to figure that out. But I can work with my ops team to see if we can get that through the robocalls. And again, if we don't have people's phone numbers, they won't get the message. But I can also update the website accordingly, and then also work with your team to maybe have a link on the website to the Republic page that says, for your credit information, see here, because the credit will depend on, again, which cart level service of garbage that you have, 32, 64, 96 gallon, the credit scale with the garbage service. So I will take that as an action item too, to see if those robocalls at the right time for when people are getting their bills that month is a possibility. And if we have the billing cycle tied to the ops and tied to the cart size, I don't know how all that works. That's what my finance manager's for, but I can certainly see if we can do that added level of communication for you. And then you mentioned the garbage with the critters. And yes, absolutely hear you on that. And we know it's inconvenient to ask folks to keep that garbage in their garage, and not everybody has a garage. And the crows and the wildlife and the coyotes and whatever does leave for a mess. So my team is also organizing into doing some neighborhood litter walks here and there. We didn't get a chance to do it during the strike, of course, but we are making an effort to get out to our communities and do litter walks in neighborhoods where there might be some garbage that's still kind of floating around on ramps or near parks and that kind of thing. But we appreciate residents' help in trying to contain the doubles that were at their home and having to bring it back and forth for their next service day. We know it was a huge hassle and inconvenience, and just can't apologize enough for the hassle that residents had to put up with the situation. So I will work on trying to get those credits through robocalls, and if not, we'll keep doing it through the website and through whatever communications and link we can have back to the city channels that residents are used to seeing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would just want to add just a little bit of volume too on that. I'm glad you brought up about the credit, because I know you have a list of takeaways, but in terms of prioritization, I think the credit is super important right now, because I have actually had a handful of people ask, some saying, to your point, I got a credit, I didn't, and I think that would really help with whatever kind of call volume you're going to get, and the communication around that. If you could do that sooner than later, that is truly a hot topic right now with various residents. So appreciate that. And then the other question that I had, talked about the recovery period, and then I thought I heard maybe you said that you guys are still kind of working on that cleanup from the July event. So I'm maybe I heard, but I'm just wondering, what does a recovery period timeline look like if we were to look back at this event? Like, how long would people generally not be charged for open lids and that kind of thing? Is that like a couple weeks?
So we asked for August 8th, which, what was that? That was last Friday. So that would have been 1, 2, 3 weeks after the last service disruption. So we figured 3 weeks was sufficient recovery, and then more than generous for folks that might have been on vacation or had a million other things to do in their life like everyone else. And we know people were so frustrated that we were really just trying to make sure we could get everything that anyone might have had left behind or stored. So the 8th is when we thought those extras with the lid lift things was going to be turned back on. So I really appreciate you bringing that to my attention so I can address that, because absolutely in the recovery period, we know people had accumulated material and had vacations and all of that. Like, summer is a really busy time. I don't have to tell you. So yeah, 3 weeks was about it. And we were out, I think July 9th to 18th. So Monday, Tuesday customers missed 1 week, and those Wednesday, Thursday, Friday customers missed 2. So that week of the 21st would have been really, really heavy for those Wednesday, Thursday, Friday people. And if they were out of town, that puts them into that, August 1st weekend, July 31st. So, and again, that next week would have been August 4th through 8th. By then, everyone we thought would have been back, and that extra would have been turned off, and we would have just collected anything, anywhere, everywhere that was laying next to the carts, whether it was yard waste, recycling, or organics. Yard waste, recycling, or garbage, sorry. 3 materials we pick up.
Thank you.
Hey, does anybody else have any other comments? Well, we surely appreciate you taking the time this evening to talk with us, Ms. Weicker, and we have further questions. We'll either submit them in writing or through our city administrator, and we look forward to continuing to work with you. And I guess my last question is, you mentioned that it has Republic settled with the unions across the country, or is there still, however remote, a possibility this might disrupt again sometime in the future?
So my understanding is not at all. And we had non-union drivers ready to go on that weekend. So we would have been ready to be back in action that Monday, the 21st. And I communicated with all my cities that night of the 20th to let them know we were back. And I think weekends are hard. So we did the best we could with communicating that this was over and not happening again. And those resources are ready to be deployed, but we don't anticipate needing them again. So my understanding is we are back to normal and everything should be fine going forward. So again, we didn't know this was coming, and we had to pivot pretty quick and then pull in resources. And as you know, there were several locations throughout the country that were impacted. So it was really tough for those days. And I can't thank our partners enough for working with us. And it was added stress on your staff and absolutely your residents. So I shared as much information as I could every day that I knew it. And we were working with the county to try to manage what was happening for their disposal system as well. And I think it would have been a lot harder had we not had such great communications and relationships and trying to make this work as easily as possible. And then it's recovery and the credits and hosting that stand-up event or drop-off event. That's just a testament to how tough that situation was and the ability we had to bring folks in and the fact that we could keep commercial going and not have any disruptions, and the multifamily as well. Just was really proud of the work we were able to get done, and just so apologize to the residents who didn't get the service because we were keeping the businesses and the hospitals and the critical services served with the drivers we did get coming in, and the more and more that showed up every day. And then ultimately everyone who would have been ready to roll on the 21st of July. We've learned a lesson or two about how to manage emergencies and uncertainty. So I expect you won't see any more disruptions from us, and it will be a much speedier recovery if there is.
I appreciate that thought, and I'm hoping that that's true. So thank you very much for coming this evening.
And I am so sorry I couldn't be there in person. I thought it was 7 at your regular meeting. So I apologize again. I was really looking forward to being there in person. I'm just glad I heard from Rebecca before I started driving. So I will see you in person next time. I'm so sorry I didn't get the 6 o'clock part versus the 7.
Right, all right. Thank you so much, though, for
All right. Good luck with the rest of your meeting, and thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, since there are no other scheduled agenda items, I'm going to adjourn this meeting. So we'll reconvene for the regular business meeting at 7 o'clock upstairs.